My kids made fun of me in front of all the guests. What they didn't know was that I was the secret majority owner of the company they worked for. The next day they were all fired and came knocking on my door. My name is Malcolm Pierce, I am 66 years old, and if you looked at me from across a room you would never guess the life I lived. A plain suit, an old watch that has ticked since the year my first son was born, hands rough from decades of work, a face that time carved with more lessons than wrinkles. I am a businessman, an investor, a man who built his empire from silence rather than noise, and for the past 40 years I have watched powerful people fall apart because of their pride. What I never expected was that my own children would be the ones to expose mine, or that I would be forced to teach them a lesson so painful, it still echoes inside me. I have 4 sons, each one brilliant in his own way, each one strong, talented, capable, and yet somehow blinded by the very world I protected them from. I raised them with humility. I never bragged about money or power. I wanted them to grow into men, not leeches feeding on my success. What they never knew, what they were never supposed to know, was that I owned the majority of the company they proudly walked into every morning. It wasn't one of my public businesses. It was tucked away behind holding companies and silent partners, with shares no one could trace back to me. I wanted them to build careers on their own merit. I wanted to watch them grow without privilege. For years, it worked. They climbed the ladder, earned promotions, earned respect. They became confident, maybe a little too confident, but I was proud. Deeply proud. I attended every milestone quietly, standing in the back, smiling, grateful. Until the night everything changed. My youngest son, Caleb, had just been promoted to department lead. He organized a celebration at a corporate dinner, inviting executives, managers, staff, and me. I wore my usual blazer, nothing fancy. I liked blending in. I liked watching my sons stand tall without my shadow behind them. But that night, instead of pride, instead of joy, they delivered the cruelest shock of my life. When Caleb grabbed the microphone to make his speech, he grinned at the room, full of confidence and charm, but when he looked at me, that smile twisted into something sharp. Something mocking. He said, "Special thanks to my dad for coming tonight. The man who still dresses like he's headed to a garage sale, but hey, he's trying his best." The room laughed. Before I had time to breathe, my second youngest, Jordan, stepped in from the side and added, "Yeah, Dad, next time we'll hire someone to help you dress. Corporate events aren't exactly your natural habitat." More laughter. A few people covered their faces. Some looked away, some shook their heads, but no one stopped it. My second eldest, Devin, raised his glass and said, "Let's be honest, Dad still doesn't even understand what we do here. He thinks brand strategy means choosing which coffee flavor to buy." The laughter rolled like thunder. Then my eldest son, Marcus, the one I trusted most, placed a hand on Caleb's shoulder and said, "Relax boys, he's old. He won't remember this tomorrow anyway." That one hurt the deepest. Not because it mocked my age, but because it came from the son I believed would always respect me. The room exploded with laughter. Executives, staff, people whose salaries came from decisions I made years ago. People I quietly saved from layoffs. People I supported when the company nearly collapsed decades earlier. Everyone laughed. My 4 sons, the boys I raised, laughed at me like I was a joke. A burden, an embarrassment. I sat still, holding my glass of water, my heartbeat slow and steady, but inside something that had been held together for 66 years cracked open. Not anger, not humiliation, something colder, something sharper, clarity. They did not know me. They did not know what I built. They did not know that the entire event, the hall, the stage, the expensive decor, the promotions they bragged about, existed because of the man they were mocking. I left early, quietly. I didn't confront them. I didn't defend myself. I didn't even show anger. I learned long ago that silence hurts more than shouting. The next morning, before the sun fully rose, I called my lawyer, the man who managed my silent shares. I said, "Execute the removal. All 4 of them." My lawyer paused, but he didn't question me. He knew. He had children too. By noon, it was done. Board approved. Legal. Final. By evening, each one of my sons received an email followed by a security escort. Their badges stopped working. Their offices locked. Their authority revoked. Caleb tried laughing it off, thinking it was a system error. Jordan argued with security until he was nearly dragged out. Devin called HR and shouted for 20 minutes, demanding answers. Marcus. He went silent. He felt something was wrong, something bigger than mistakes or policy. But none of them knew it was me. Until they stood at my front door. They came together, 4 grown men, 4 sons who had mocked me just the night before. I opened the door slowly, and for the first time in years, they looked small to me. Not because of their size, but because arrogance had carved away their humility. Caleb spoke first, panicked. Dad, they fired us. All of us. Can you help? You know people. You always know people. Jordan said. They said it came from upper ownership. Someone powerful. Someone anonymous. Devin stepped forward, voice trembling. Dad, please, tell us what to do. And Marcus, the eldest, the only one who seemed to understand, simply asked, was it you? I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I didn't enjoy their fear. I answered with a calm, steady voice. Yes, it was me. Silence fell so heavy the air seemed to freeze. I told them everything. That I owned the company. That I paid the executives who watched them mock me. That every paycheck they ever received was under my authority. That their promotions were granted because they earned them, not because of me. That I hid my identity to protect their integrity. That I wanted them to succeed on their own merit. And then I told them the truth that crushed them. But when you mocked me, you didn't just mock your father. You mocked the very values that built your careers. You mocked humility. You mocked hard work. You mocked the man who sacrificed everything for you. And so, I taught you a lesson the world would have taught you eventually. Caleb broke down first, covering his face with shaking hands. Jordan tried to argue but his voice cracked halfway through. Devin kept whispering, I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry. Marcus stood still, staring at the floor, broken. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I simply said, you are not entitled to what I built. You will earn your way back, or you won't return at all. For weeks, they tried to adjust. They applied for jobs. They faced rejections. People whispered behind their backs. Their savings dwindled. Their pride shattered. Their sense of superiority evaporated. They learned what real life felt like without the comfort of success at their fingertips. And then, finally, one by one, they came back. Not to beg for their positions, but to apologize. Truly apologize. Tears, regret, reflection. They apologized for mocking me. For forgetting the values I raised them with. For letting arrogance consume them. I listened. I forgave. I didn't forget. I reinstated them months later, but under strict conditions. No special offices. No private assistants. No automatic privileges. They started lower than before, supervised, monitored, accountable. They worked harder than they ever had in their lives. And for the first time, they became real men, not spoiled executives. Now, to everyone watching, remember this: respect is not something you demand, it is something you earn, even from your own children. Silence does not make you weak, and kindness does not give anyone permission to humiliate you. Sometimes the harshest revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of their own actions. I am Malcolm Pierce, 66 years old, father of 4 sons who learned the most painful lesson of their lives, and the silent owner of the empire they once took for granted. They mocked me in front of the world, and the next day, the world showed them exactly who their father truly was. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?